Good day, everyone. Welcome back to the Doc of Detox show. I'm Dr. Darrell Wolfe, and today's show is the missing link, the calcium ion connection with Jay Lee. Now, understand something, everyone, and I need you to get this, okay? There was a story a long time ago, and you can go into PubMed. You can see tons of research papers where they go, if we could ever isolate the calcium ion and make it stable enough to get into the body, but still allow it to be unstable enough to do what it was supposed to do, then we could change the whole history of health. Well, guess what? Somebody has done that. All right? So before we begin the show, I just like to tell you this. In 2009, Dr. Paul Lee invented sigma antibonding calcium, otherwise known as SAC, in efforts to make a better biological calcium. When his friend fully recovered from the last stage of prostate cancer with colon metastasis, only with SAC, okay, leading to the discovery of its amazing effects on many degenerative diseases such as osteoporosis, Parkinson's, and so many other autoimmune diseases. Understand something. We're going to get into this today, but I need you to get this. From A to Z, okay, calcium ions are a big factor in every condition in the human body. I'm not making it up. Science shows it. Okay, it shows it. And guess what? What we're going to do for you is on July the 23rd at 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, okay, we're going to be doing a Q&A to follow up this show. So all the questions you've ever had about calcium. I mean, do you know that all the calcium products out there, almost all of them are ineffective, that they're actually causing what they say that they can turn around? Now, that's not me saying it. That's science. So you're going to want to get your questions together. And then let's get to the bottom of this calcium thing, because you're going to find out that calcium is at the foundation of creating that immune system in the human body. And if you want more information, please go to Quick Start at docofdetox.com and we will email you back more information on the SAC calcium. And just know this, we are creating a series of shows dealing with calcium ions and overall health and illness and how they play a major part in everybody's well-being. Good day, Jay. Thanks for joining me.
Hello, Dr. Wolfe.
How are you, my friend?
I'm doing fine. I hope you're doing well as well.
Oh, we're doing fantastic, man. It's a beautiful sunny day in Kelowna, British Columbia. And people are really starting to wake up to the reality that they need to take back their lives and that they need to master their minds, master their bodies, and get it all together. And you know what? How's things going there in New York with the big C condition?
Well, we're getting better. We're handling it much better. We're looking forward to phase 3, opening up more and more.
Yeah, but are you ready for the second wave? I mean, you know, they're telling us it's coming, so it must be already planned. So the reality is I think that everybody needs to understand out there, and when I say this, I mean this in the best way, they are going to come with a second wave because they're not done with us yet. And the reality is this, you're going to want to listen to this show and about calcium ions, because just one small thing that they do hundreds of thousands of different things in the body, but they help to buffer down your pH when you get all stressed out and you're dumping all that adrenaline and cortisol and histamine and causing yourself to go acidic and stress yourself out. So we got to really learn that pH is really everything when it comes to creating proper balance in the body. It's not everything, but it's a big part of it. So, Jay, I'd like to start this off. Most people believe that we need lots of calcium to keep our bones strong, and the American diet seems to contain enough calcium already, so we're led to believe. Why then such a high incidence of osteoporosis and other autoimmune diseases?
Well, it's true that as we grow older, our stomach acid gets weaker and the calcium absorption decreases. And also we have vitamin D deficiency, vitamin K deficiency for the proper utilization of calcium. But the bigger issue is our lifestyle and our stress level as well. Big stress also leaches our body of calcium because it makes our body more acidic, and a bone has to release calcium ions to buffer that acidity. And the sedentary lifestyle that we have does not really challenge our bones. And if our bones are not challenged, then it is not built strong. There is a study done that amongst the astronauts in space station for about 6 months of stay in space station, average, these astronauts come down with 14% bone loss. And some of them actually lost 30%. Think about it. If you have plenty of calcium in their diet, because we know that the space diet is carefully its most advanced diet, why are they coming down to Earth with 14 to 30% bone loss? Think about it. That's because in space, there is no gravity. And without gravity, our bones are not challenged enough. And if that continues, then we start to lose bone mass, and that's going to cause a lot of problems. It's really important because it's not how much calcium you're getting into your system. These astronauts had enough calcium in their body. However, because the bones are not stressed enough to utilize that calcium, most of that is excreted, or guess what? It causes calcification. And that's a bigger issue I'd like to talk about today, because it is this calcification that becomes actually the trigger for over 150 degenerative diseases that we are familiar with. So you may have plenty of calcium in your body, but the thing is that we're not utilizing it because we're not providing the condition to utilize it. And along with that, as we age, sex hormone drops, human growth hormone drops, the production of calmazolin drops, right? All these factors just makes us not able to utilize the calcium very well. So it is not the deficiency of calcium from the diet or not taking calcium supplements. The problem is we may be actually getting too much calcium that we're not able to utilize. And that could actually cause more problem. So all the calcium they're getting in is not going to the bones, but it could end up in wrong places in our body called calcium displacement and calcification. And that is the major health issue.
Absolutely. So, did you ever suggest to NASA or Elon Musk that they should be doing SAC calcium when they're up in space?
I'd like to do that if I get a chance to. I know Elon Musk is looking into colonizing Mars, but you know that Mars has the weaker gravity. So he has to figure out how to really bolster the gravity of these colonies, or they may be needing ionic calcium, SAC calcium to compensate that for sure.
Absolutely. And if I could make a comment here, everyone, I mean, if you follow my work, you'll understand something that I really feel that we really have a pulse here. Because what are the main things that really age us? I mean, you know, we're all going to grow older, but we don't have to grow old. Do you understand? So, you know, you can be old when you're younger, and you can be younger when you're older. And it all really comes down to proper balance in the body, right down to the mitochondrial level. But I want everyone to get this. Check out my A to Z, okay, Wellness Master Guide, okay, in my library, and give that a read, okay? And then you'll understand something, that displaced calcium, crystallization, and scar tissue is the main thing for aging. And the reality is the more that we can buffer down the acidity, the less displaced calcium you're going to have, okay? And the less scar tissue you're going to have, like, you know, Grandpa, are you okay? I mean, you're walking like you're a piece of beef jerky. And, you know, the reality is if we get older, guess what? Your joints are getting cemented. Yeah, you can find calcium deposits like in the gallbladder, in the kidneys, and you can find them in the breasts or anywhere else in the body. Now, this is displaced calcium. But the reality is you're finding this calcium in these areas because those areas are so highly acidic, and the the body is sending calcium to those areas to buffer down the acidity, because if you get too acidic, your oxygen levels are going to drop. And if they drop below 35% of oxygen, then we see mutation comes in. So that's where your calcium gets really utilized. But what if you're pulling in all this calcium into these areas? Well, then it's not doing any good, because you don't have enough growth hormone to break the bone properly and to get the ions out of the calcium. So you're cementing your joints. So why are you stiff? Why are you locking up? Why are those hinges rusting? A main part of it is displaced calcium. What do you think, Jay?
I definitely agree with you. And this is a serious matter. It's one thing we need to know about calcium is that whether we are taking calcium from diet or supplementation, doesn't matter what kind of supplementation out there, because usually they boast about the absorption rate of calcium. But the thing is that we're getting this calcium into our system in protein-bound form. Now, it's very important we understand this. Now, protein-bound calcium is not physiologically active calcium. It is more or less a standby calcium to release calcium ion when it's needed. But like I said before, because of a lifestyle, right, we may not be utilizing this protein-bound calcium. That means when our body needs calcium in ionic form, which is the only physiologically active calcium, we're only putting in calcium in protein form, which we cannot utilize very well. Now, if that happens, then all that excess calcium is going to end up in wrong place. So we would definitely like to get calcium in the form that our body can recognize and put to use right away. If not, all the problem that Dr. Wolfe, you mentioned is going to happen. With age, there's no way that we can escape this.
Absolutely. And I hope everybody got what he said. Okay. So the only really usable, okay, calcium is calcium ion. Okay. We're not talking about something that you can see, everybody. So the calcium ion is invisible. And do you know how I've always taught you that the invisible creates the physical? Well, guess what? It doesn't change when it comes to supplementation either. Everything that we eat and drink leaves the body. Okay, so understand, only the vibration or the frequency stays behind. But what if you were already taking a product that was already that frequency? Because believe it or not, an ion is really more frequency than it is anything else. So this is why it's able to accomplish hundreds of thousands of processes in the body. It is a high intelligence. Remember, it's not the physical that creates the physical. It's the invisible that creates the physical, and it's all about frequency. And as far as calciums go, this is the only calcium on the planet that has the right combination and the right frequency to do what it needs to do. So let me ask you a question, Jay. Why is osteoporosis such a big health concern?
All right, a good question, Dr. Wolfe. Because when people hear the word osteoporosis, they think about thinning bones and then fracture risk. Of course, when we have osteoporosis and fracture happens, then within 1 year, a lot of these people pass away. So preventing osteoporosis is very important. But actually, there's something else we need to look at when your bone is thinning out. All that calcium that is coming out from breaking the bone, it's actually going to be accumulated in cellular level. Now, our cells have these calcium reservoirs, and these reservoirs are used to really regulate what is called calcium signaling. Now, this is very important because actually the most important function of calcium, and especially the calcium ion, is regulating the cellular capacity to communicate, and it is done through calcium. No other ion is used in this matter because sometimes you wonder how our cells know what to do. All those intricate processes. How does our cell really know what is needed, what to do? Which part of DNA is going to be transcripted? How is our the proteins going to be folded in a certain way? All of that is actually controlled by very intricate signaling, like AM and FM of radio, right? It's amplitude, modulation and frequency modulation. Right? These complex signals now we're able to actually listen to, right, with modern technology. It's what's really regulating all the cellular processes. But if you have too much calcium ion stored in the cells, then it actually disrupts this calcium signaling, and our cells are instructed to do wrong things. Now that's where all those diseases starts to happen, because our cells are not able to really do what it's supposed to do, because the signaling is disrupted.
Because it's
That-
too crowded in the cell. Even though it's a good thing, it could be a good thing, but when it gets too crowded, just like, too many people in the room, you feel claustrophobic, you can't breathe, you can't move around, you don't feel comfortable. There's no flow, no
exactly.
harmony.
Exactly. When the signal is disrupted, then it's like we're having a communication breakdown. What if a husband and wife, they decided to use the language that they don't understand, right? Probably everything will fall apart, right? So not only that, when too much calcium ion, calcium is actually stored in the walls of mitochondria, which is the powerhouse that generates ATP, the energy for us to use every day. uh, Mitochondrial function drops, and it instead produces a lot of free radicals, the reactive oxygen species, that's going to be actually damaging DNA or RNA and proteins and lipids. Uh, that's going to be compromising cellular health. And of course, if that happens, overall health. It's very important that our body maintains the precise level of ionic calcium concentration in extracellular and intracellular spaces. If that is disrupted, everything falls apart. And that is actually caused by mostly our bones emptying out. When our bone thins and the calcium is released and our bone mass decreases, more than osteoporosis, more than fracture risk, we have to worry about cellular calcification.
Cementing on a cellular level. And everybody, I want you to understand something. When you go and you get tested and they say, well, you've got a 30% decrease in your bone mass, understand something. That bone mass, it's still in you. That bone mass is what is the calcium deposits in your breasts, or the gallstones, or the kidney stones, or the stiff joints, okay? Or even your brain function. It doesn't seem to want to work right. And if I can say one other thing here, it's really important. Do you know how many people come to me and say, well, you know what, Dr. Wolfe, I take an ionic calcium. And I just want everyone to know here that this is the only ionic calcium on the planet that I know of. And I've been doing this for a long time. And just because somebody calls something ionic calcium, in actuality and in science, it doesn't mean that's what it is. So you need to do your homework, because this is the only product that has ever been patented as a calcium ion. Okay. Jay?
Yeah, we can say that SAC calcium is definitely the only uh, ionic calcium transportation system that we call that could deliver calcium in ionic form in a significant level to trigger certain physiological responses from our body. There are other ionic calcium label products out there, but then um, they cannot produce the same results, cannot trigger the same responses. And some of these products you take will actually endanger your health, because, for instance, calcium chloride is calcium that is used to melt ice, the ice roads in the wintertime. If we put that in your system, then of course you're getting too much the chlorine in your system that could damage your nerves. And also it's not going to put enough calcium ion to the level where it could trigger strong bone building like SCC calcium can do. The thing about SCC calcium is that it can put enough. Per dose, we can put about 5 to 7 milligram of calcium in ionic form. Now that sounds very little compared to your regular calcium supplements that's sold at 500 milligrams, 750 milligrams, 1,000 milligrams. But yes, as this calcium goes in at about 7 milligrams, very small, but in ionic form. Our body is very, very sensitive to the rise of ionic calcium concentration level in our blood serum. It's able to trigger pituitary gland to start the thyroid gland to produce calcitonin, which starts very strong osteoblast, which is a bone building process. And we're able to do this in a level where when we're building bones when we're younger, right? So that means we're naturally triggering the natural bone process that builds strong bones. And when that happens, it starts to clear all the displaced calciums from our body, whether it's from soft tissues, from organs, it's from the bones, from your joints, be able to take all that displaced calcium and bring it where it really belongs, your bones. And not only that, that cellular calcification, which is more important, right? The cellular calcium deposits can be released and also brought back to bone, restoring mitochondrial function, reduces oxidative stress, restoring that calcium signaling, so your cells, trillions of cells in your body, can really function the way it was supposed to. Now that has, of course, from overall systemic advantage as well. All of your cells are working properly, then your systems will be restored as well.
So, it's really, I wouldn't believe it if I hadn't been selling the product and working with the product. Actually, it's not a product, it's more of a treatment, everyone. So if I wouldn't have been working with this treatment for the last few years, I wouldn't believe it myself that you could actually take such a small amount of something, but understand, like I told you, the invisible is more powerful than the physical. And it actually will go in and it will trigger, okay, all of these processes. And I mean, things are just so amazing out there. People will actually, and I've seen this, so this is not coming from Jay, but where people have lost bone, and the reality is the calcium and the displaced bone is other places in the body, and it'll actually pull it back in and heal where it took it from, where it was displaced. So that in itself is really amazing, and I want everybody to understand something. You will not find this product right up on our website, and I'll tell you why. Because this is a very special product, and everybody will go through me. If you're interested, you have health questions, and you want to know about this treatment, you will call my office, the 800 number, 855-900-4544, and you can press 0, and they will switch you over to me, or you can just push extension 5, and if I'm on the line, you can leave a message, and I'll get back to you. Now, this is not a marketing pitch. This is telling you this is how we do it. This is a very special product. It's unique. There's nothing like it on the planet, and it deserves personal attention. And it needs to be dealt with properly, just as everyone needs to be dealt with properly. This is why we create strategies here to make sure that everybody's health is done in a proper way, and they are guided along the way. Wouldn't you like that? We want to teach everyone how to have the perfect day. And to do that, we need to support everyone. So if you want information on the product, like I say, you're going to have to go to my library and click on the SAC Calcium Guide, or email us at quickstart@docofdetox.com, and we'll send you information. And then if you're interested to go further, then you will call us. So I'd like to ask a question here. So here we have a nation where the last time I was told is that 92%, okay, of Americans have an autoimmune disease. That's the last that I heard. And that United States is now the sickest nation in the world and has more osteoporosis than any other country in the world. So why do you think that is, Jay?
Well, definitely more and more conditions are attributed to autoimmune condition. We have hearing doctors who are saying that, all these diseases is actually related to mitochondrial dysfunction. And some doctors also say, all these diseases are related to inflammation. And some are saying that all of these diseases are related to autoimmune response, right? But then when you actually look at them together, these are the conditions that actually go together, right? If we have this cellular breakdown of the communication and large production of reactive oxygen species, the free radicals that damage DNA, RNA, and proteins that may cause cell mutation, right? Uh, if all these things are happening at cellular level, right, we know that some of the proteins were misfolded, right? Some of the proteins that are made is not something that's supposed to be made, right? And our cells actually goes through a lot of process that is not normal. And some of these, the materials sometimes do get displayed in the cell membranes, which could really cause our immune system to respond differently. So what's happening at a cellular level can definitely cause the reasons for our immune system to respond in ways kind of mistaking our own cells as foreign material. Plus all that inflammation that's happening, right? It all contributes to autoimmune response. And we have seen many patients who have taken SAC, so many of them from different kinds of autoimmune diseases, they found freedom. We have seen a great results for lupus. We have seen the Crohn's disease, and also we have seen MS conditions improve as well. And then the celiac disease, and whether it is the skin issues, tons of autoimmune diseases actually got so much better with SAC therapy. SAC is not really supplementation. It is actually a therapy. Very small amount of ionic calcium is used to trigger certain responses in our body. And by triggering, we mean that we're also able to utilize all those protein-bound calcium that's just a standby and then doing nothing. It can be fully utilized, as well as really balancing out the level of calcium ions where it's really supposed to be.
And if I could say something, Jay, don't mean to interrupt, but everybody, the protein-bound calcium is the calcium that you're getting from your food. The calcium that you're getting from your bone, but because of your human growth hormone is not high like it used to be before you were 30 years old, 25 years old, and doing what it's supposed to do, when you start taking the SAC, then it kicks all this in and starts to make everything happen as if we're young again. How's that? Is that kind of on board with what you're saying?
Yes, SAC calcium raises the blood concentration of calcium ions slightly, about 2%, but that is enough to trigger response, very strong bone building response that we had when we're younger. So whether you're in 50s and 60s or 70s, even 80s, right, we're able to start bone regeneration, bone rebuilding in a magnitude that it could actually restore these conditions. We have seen, we actually, in Calcium and Bone Health Institute, we had more than 1,000 volunteers who come and did before and after, right? And over 95% of these patients experienced significant bone density increase. For even 80-year-olds, right, to really have the bone that they had when they're half to their age, right, is something that we haven't really seen. Now, there are medications out there that the focus is on stopping bone loss. And it is actually done by interfering with natural bone metabolism. But we do not want to tamper with bone metabolism because it is a very important process of maintaining proper calcium ion levels, whether it's cellularly, intracellularly, extracellularly, because that's really important for the communication process. But if you're interfering with that process happening in the bones, then obviously you're going to be interrupting calcium signaling as well in cellular level, right?
Are you
That's
talk? Are
why
you,
a lot of
sorry,
these
Jay?
treatments may come with so many severe side effects that you may not want to involve yourself with. But SAC triggers the natural response, and there is no side effects. And we're able to build and rebuild bones, including the bone marrows where all these blood cells are produced, right, to really give you the optimal health.
So are you talking about certain types of prescriptions that actually will stop the bone breaking? Because so they're worried that there'll be more bone displacement, so they're going to stop it. Is that what you're getting at?
Yes, but think
Okay.
about it. Our body has to break down bones and rebuild bone constantly to maintain the proper ionic calcium concentration in our body, right? So when our calcium level dips too low, then our body has to break down bone at the moment to release ionic calcium so that our heart can continue to pump and our muscle can flex and our organs can function and all the cellular processes are not interrupted, right? And if there's some excess calcium, then of course it is replaced. We call that bone turnover rate. Constant breaking down and rebuilding a bone to maintain the precise level of calcium ion level in our body. It's very important. But to prevent bone loss, some of these medications actually slows down this natural bone metabolism. That means when your body needs that ionic calcium right away, and our bone cannot deliver that. Imagine the health effect of that. That's
Mm-hmm.
devastating. That's why if you actually put all these medications together and study their side effects, a lot of them are actually related to ionic calcium deficiency. Because if our bones are refusing to give out calcium ion when our body needs it, then every cells in your body will suffer.
Absolutely. You know, tell me if I'm right or wrong, but a good friend of mine runs a cancer hospital, and they said, or he said, that actually you can tell when a cancer patient is getting better when the bone structure gets better. When the bone is replaced and starts to become healthy, it's a good indicator that you're going in the right direction with a cancer patient. But then he also said you're going in the right direction with any patient because that is one of the kind of guidelines that they use. What do you think about that?
Definitely. You'll be surprised to find out that most cancer patients do have low bone density. And there is a big correlation between bone health and cancer. Think about it. Going back to that mitochondria free radical theory, when the large accumulation of calcium ion inside the mitochondrial membrane induces production of free radicals that damages DNA, RNA, and proteins. What is that? That is actually the main driving force of aging and cancer. So another interesting fact is that if you really open up cancer cell, you will find out that there's a very, very small amount of calcium ion compared to healthy cells. If healthy cells have, let's say, 100 calcium ions, then cancer cells will have probably one, right? So some doctors actually described cancer as tailor-made response of cells to adapt to ionic calcium deficiency, right? So cancer and calcium ion is definitely an interesting topic to look at because if you're building strong bone, then you are restoring ideal calcium homeostasis in our body. Then it's definitely going to produce healthy cells around the cancer tumors to create the barrier, strong barrier, right? And then ionic calcium, when it's able to go where this tumor area, which is more acidic than the rest of the body, calcium ion can neutralize that acidity, right? You know how carcinoma, most cancer cells produce lactic acid to survive and to proliferate, right? And to spread to other parts of the body, right? But once that acidity is neutralized by calcium ion, then we can really stop that momentum of cancer growth. And many experiments out there have already done that. They have actually put some calcium around the tumor in vivo and found out that cancer tumors stop growing. Now with SAC calcium, we're able to deliver that in plenty amount to really have that anti-cancer effect.
Wonderful. So it sounds like protecting bone health is protecting overall health.
That's true. Yes. Preventive measure, and also, I guess, it's going to aid in overall treatment as well.
So can you tell us some of the other effects that maybe the calcium ion would have on the body?
Well, definitely, I think in connection, since we're talking about how cancer makes our body acidic, we know that ionic calcium is probably the best buffer to restore that acidic pH, low pH to ideal pH of 7.4, neutralizing lactic acid to really hinder cancer metastasis and growth, right? Ionic calcium is really needed for so many our bodily processes to not just bone and teeth, but for our heart and our muscle. Without ionic calcium, our heart and muscle cannot function, right? And not only that, ionic calcium is what really activates enzymes in our body. And also, it's crucial for proper immune response. It maintains a strong cell membrane, and ionic calcium is also responsible for proper hormone secretion. That's why we have seen such great results with metabolic syndrome, because, for instance, secretion of insulin is actually depends on ionic calcium level, right? So if we have ionic calcium homeostasis broken, which happens to almost everybody as we age, we cannot expect the hormone to be secreted in proper amount, right? Even the production of insulin, right? And the function of a beta cell in our pancreas, and all of that is dependent on ionic calcium. And you can find all these papers through, if you go internet and look into National Institute of Health, right? It also regulates stem cell. One of the reasons why our stem cell becomes so inactive as we grow older is because of ionic calcium homeostasis is broken. In other words, our stem cells are not really getting the signals, right, the proper signals to proliferate and go and help the damaged portion of the body, right? So all these functions of calcium ion in our body, so ubiquitous, so that I think our creator actually made calcium to be stored in large amount in our bones. No other mineral is stored in this amount, so that we can utilize it right away when this mineral dips to a certain point. Right? Calcium ion cannot wait. Right? You cannot wait for from breakfast to lunch. If it dips, then it has to go to your bones right away and take it out. Problem is, as we age, we tend to take out more calcium from our bones than needed, and the excess will not go back to our bones. That's why we're continuously losing that reservoir of calcium in our body. When it runs out enough, and then it gets accumulated in the wrong place enough, then that's how we get diseased and die. So there's a book called Death by Calcium by Dr. Thomas Levy. He's the calcium expert. And this is what he said. All chronic degenerative diseases feature increased extracellular and intracellular levels of calcium. Calcium deposition often results in extracellular space where calcium concentrations are vastly higher than inside the cells. The increased extracellular calcium always leads to increased intracellular calcium, which always results in increased intracellular oxidative stress, right? And then he also attributed this to losing calcium from our bones more than actually diet. It's actually that calcium you're losing from your bone, which is what's largely responsible for the calcification all over your body, which fuels, I guess, the occurrence of over 150 degenerative diseases. When you talk about even neurodegenerative diseases, whether it's Parkinson's, there's Alzheimer's, or whether it's ALS, right? Multiple sclerosis. If you look all these things, and now you can actually find so many studies done, you can check out for yourself, that all these are related to somehow disruption of calcium signaling and calcium homeostasis in the brain cells. Okay? So now we're finding out that if this is the cause, right, then how can we resolve it? As far as I know, and we definitely want the world to find out that SAC calcium is the first calcium out there that could really trigger restoration of calcium homeostasis in our body, including also your brain cells. And that's why we have seen really significant changes of the patients who are suffering from neurodegenerative diseases.
So you have there's doctors all over the world that have been utilizing this product with hundreds of thousands of people, and you have so many case histories and so many testimonials from people, from medical doctors. So we know that this has a long track record, but is it safe to say that when we have any type of situation with inflammation that's out of control, pH balance that cannot come back, or low oxygen levels, so whatever with these types of symptoms, we know that the SAC calcium would play a major factor in helping to create body balance. So am I correct with that?
Yes.
Okay.
Because what it does in cellular level and also in systemic level, we have definitely much better chance fighting against the disease. Of course, there can be many other the causes of disease. Heavy metal toxicity is one big one. All those environmental chemicals and toxins. And of course, our food has a lot of issues. Now, even if we do away with these things, there's something that we could not really fight against is cellular calcification. That happens to everybody as we grow old. So as our life expectancy increased, that's why we're seeing more osteoporosis, because now we have people who are living to 70, 80, 90, even 100, right? And medical advancement has kept them alive, but they couldn't do anything about thinning bones and calcification, right? So now with SAC calcium added to, I guess, their remedy, we are able to significantly reduce this very natural cause of aging. Of course, if you have healthy lifestyle, let's say you're very active out there, your diet is good, and you get enough sunlight, and you're a very active person with the positive mindset, and so you don't really have these bad habits in your life that contributes to disease. But even with that, you may be delaying this calcification 10, 15, 20 years, but eventually it's going to catch up with you, right? But then now we have a way to slow it down, or possibly even to reverse it. And we have actually seen the recovery from the conditions once thought impossible actually happening, because we're able to give trillions of our cells a chance to revive.
Absolutely. You know, when you take the impossible and you take the I and the am and you make it I am going to take massive personal action here, then we can make it possible. And I'm going to tell everybody that, you know what, I've been in this long enough to know it, and there's no product that can do it. And you know what, if you decide you want to live long, 100, even longer, we don't have to have what we're seeing today. And the reality is we know that inflammation and mismanaged pH is one of the main things for all chronic degenerative conditions that we're seeing out there. So it seems that no conventional calcium supplements that are absorbed as protein bound calcium are then able to provide calcium in an ionic form. And this is science. This is proven, isn't it? So can you tell us where's the stumbling block? I know we went through it, but where's the stumbling block with these other ones? Is it just that they don't have the right frequency? They can't be broken down enough to have, or they don't even have what they need, or the ion can't be released from these calciums? And tell us again why the SAC calcium is able to do it without. So here's the thing. I want everybody to know this. And then, Jay, you can tell me if I'm right or wrong. But we know this. We know that if you're sick, you need energy to get well. But wait a minute. When you're sick, and the more sick you are, the less energy you have. So the reality is you need something to come into the body that has a high frequency that's going to take no energy to be processed down to the cellular level, mitochondrial level. And that's why I think that this clinches this whole chronic illness thing. Can you tell me, Jay, what you think about what I just said?
Sure. SAC calcium is something we cannot find in nature. Of course, it's laboratory made. It took us about 10 years of research and development in Calcium and Bone Health Institute in Canada. This calcium utilizes what's called sigma antibonding. So the molecular structure of SAC is same as most abundant calcium form, which is calcium carbonate. But then the chemical bonding used for calcium is not pi bonding, but it is actually sigma antibonding. It's very weak, unstable bonding. So you're not going to be finding any molecules out there with sigma antibonding stable in room temperature, right? We found a way to keep this stable in room temperature. It's very weak bonding. So calcium ion is easily released to be absorbed into our system in ionic form without the help of all the peptides and vitamin D. So no digestion, no energy is required, no ATP required from our body to bring that into our system. And this is the only calcium that could really go in ionic form. Now, ionic form is the only physiologically active calcium in our body. All the calcium that enters our body is actually in protein-bound form, right? So we are actually skipping the step and able to raise the calcium ion level in our body slightly, just threshold, very safe level that our body can handle, right? Just to signal our body to release certain hormones to start bone building process. That's where this whole thing starts. When the bone building process starts, it clears calcification, restores calcium homeostasis. It even utilizes, when the switch is turned on, right, even utilizes the standby protein-bound calcium that you're taking in from your diet. Of course, you need that. We need about 800 plus milligrams of calcium each day. All the protein-bound calcium that you could not utilize is now utilized because the switch is turned on. Right? So it brings in that calcium homeostasis, right? And the cascade of responses happening from that, it brings in all the healing reactions of our body. And sometimes for the patients, that's all that they need to really go over the bump of fighting the disease. So we definitely recommend SAC therapy as part of more comprehensive overall treatment plan. And what SAC can offer is significant because of what it can do. And nothing out there can really trigger the same response. So this is very unique as a molecule in absorption and what it does and what kind of disease-fighting capacity it has. Very unique. And we currently right now, we have more certified doctors who are around the world who are using this to really reap amazing benefits from the patients. And we are really looking forward to really making this available through qualified doctors like Dr. Wolfe to the patients and receive all the care.
Thank you. So you were saying that, okay, so the calcium ion has a cascade effect. Now, I hope everybody understands it. We could say that's a domino effect to leading you back to health. Okay. So what I was trying to get at here is if you don't have that ion, you're going to have a domino effect in the wrong direction. That's correct, isn't it, Jay?
That's correct. Because disease doesn't just happen overnight unless you have, taken toxic substance. It actually happens gradually and to the point that there's a tip over point that our body cannot really handle anymore and starts to break down, right? That disease momentum happened with time with a dominant effect from all the other toxins and unhealthy lifestyle, all of it accumulated. With SAC, we can definitely offer a fighting chance to reverse that. Of course, we definitely recommend your diet has to change, your lifestyle has to change. Right? You have to get all those toxins out of your body, right? That's why we cannot say that SAC can treat or cure, right? But then it could definitely provide a huge boost if you're turning everything around in your life towards health. So let's stop that disease momentum and then reverse it to healing momentum.
Yeah, SAC is just providing the body what the body has lost. And because when you were younger, and maybe up to the age of around 25, up around that age, you produced all of this. And then you slowly started not to. And I want everybody to understand something. And studies have been done on this. The blue light that you're getting off of your computer, off of your telephone, off the lighting, and then the 4G, which is now becoming 5G. This all plays a huge factor when it comes to the calcium ion balance within the body. So you're going to start to see a lot of different problems when it comes to neurological disorders and even chronic autoimmune diseases. And you mess around with that calcium ion factor and you'll cascade in the wrong direction. And I want everybody to understand something. We're putting a series together for you, and we're going to be doing things like this. We're going to be talking about the importance of the calcium ion with heart disease, autism, muscle and joint problems, cancer, okay, healthy teeth and mouth, neurological diseases, Alzheimer's, and why even when you do support yourself and make a change in your diet, in the way that you exercise, and in your nutrition, why you would still want to maintain and keep the SAC ion calcium coming in, because it's all about maintenance. I mean, people say to me, well, should I keep doing it? And I say, well, should you keep breathing properly? Should you keep eating properly? Should you keep exercising properly? It's all about just maintaining that beautiful body of yours. Now, Jay, how good is SAC therapy when it comes to just maintaining one's health? I mean, I don't want to get into the products that much, but let's talk about Megagen, which is the maintenance product. I mean, that in itself would maintain somebody?
Definitely. If
Okay.
you are healthy and if you want to maintain good bone health as well as good immune system, keep the inflammation at bay, along with, of course, a good lifestyle, definitely SAC maintenance products can help you. Now, we do know that we are building our bone up to age 35, 40. If you actually see the bone graph, the bone density graph over age, you will see that we're slowly building bone up to age 35 and 40. And from then on, there's a dip, right? How much bone mass that you have up to age 40 is what you're going to have until the end of your life, right? But let's say you haven't been really taking care of yourself, and then you found yourself with low bone density osteopenia or even osteoporosis at age 40, then you're stuck with it, right? That's the only amount of bone that you have to live through the rest of your life. right? But that also means that you already have a lot of calcification in your body, right? So you're an early candidate for the occurrence of all these degenerative diseases. Without SAC, really, there was no way to slow this down because it already happened. But now with SAC, right, you're able to maintain where you are. Even with our maintenance product, right, it's powerful enough to slowly reverse, right? So definitely, even our maintenance product has enough potency, the power there, to give that amazing effect over the long run. Of course, we have other products that are a lot stronger that we use for patients who have really acute or chronic conditions, right? To actually to fight against the disease momentum, right? But then doctor will prescribe different products for different conditions, but definitely SAC overall is very powerful in fighting against and even maintaining your health.
Can I ask this question just so you can give them maybe just a little short form on it? But what are some of the disease conditions that SAC therapy was applied successfully so far?
Well, it's person to person, definitely, because everybody has a different disease condition. And of course, their age plays a factor. But then we have actually seen very broad spectrum of benefits coming from SAC therapy. We definitely, like we mentioned before, we had the Parkinson's symptom gets better, even ALS symptoms get better. Something we have never seen before is it's happening. Alzheimer's patients, we had a case where elderly lady, one of the doctor's mother, who could not remember things for years, able to remember things like that. Multiple sclerosis, a lot of immune response, cardiovascular area, definitely people with arrhythmia, heart palpitation. We had cases with patients who were due for the pacemaker implant, didn't really have to because of SAC. Epilepsy, definitely we had amazing responses for that. CKD response, patients who were due for dialysis didn't have to. We had a patient, 80-year-old, with GFC down to about almost 10, 11, back to 60, the normal level for her age. And also definitely arthritis. We had a lot of patients, whether it is osteoarthritis or whether it is many different kinds of arthritis, able to really recover. Diabetes and other metabolic syndrome, and a host of other chronic degenerative diseases, including disease caused by heavy calcifications like calcific tendonitis. And also we had seen a big improvement for Lyme disease patients. New studies have found out that Lyme disease somehow causes mitochondrial dysfunction, huge increase in oxidative stress, and somehow ionic calcium deficiency in cellular level. And so we know that SAC calcium can address these three. And we had a case where a young boy with Lyme disease with debilitating lifestyle tried everything, early antibiotics intervention failed. But with SAC, in just a few months, recovered from all the symptoms, now living a normal life. And along with that, we have seen how SAC has been really good for fighting against bacterial and also viral infection, because we know ionic calcium's ability to maintain pH in ideal 7.4, slightly alkaline level, where pathogens have difficulty multiplying. Not only that, as one really interesting factor about SAC is that because of the bone building process, it takes calcium and excess calcium and phosphorus back to our bones, right? Now we know that phosphorus is required for viral and bacterial multiplication because that's what it uses to multiply. It's a building block. But if you take all that excess phosphorus back to your bone, these pathogens really have nothing to multiply with, right? So we have seen amazing results with viral and bacterial infection, like COPD, many lung issues, including asthma. We have seen some improvements with that, and also anything to do with the blood disease, because as we are increasing the bone turnover rate, repairs the bone, not only the bone, but also bone marrow, where hematopoietic stem cells produce a lot of the blood cells, right? So the health of blood cells has been also improved. We have seen that as well. So it's been especially kind of helping those patients that have issues with bone marrows, like with some cancer patients with multiple myeloma that we have seen helps with platelets and also leukemia. We have had patients who really improved a lot on that, right? But it is important that SAC is not a magic bullet. SAC, I think, handles very important part where it can really restore cellular health and gives our body a chance to recover. It works with our body condition. It triggers certain response in our body to fight back, but it is not something that tackles our disease the same way the pharmaceutical drugs do. And we do not, therefore, make any claims, but these are the things that we have really have seen. And you may also find these testimonies in Dr. Wolfe's website, the real people, the real experiences. And we get that plenty. But also it's been helping with some depression patients, with ADHD, some kids with autism. It seems like it's all over. It's all over the spectrum. We had actually cases with some chromosomal issues. We haven't really figured out how that happens, but we have seen these the kids with the chromosomal issues. Their symptoms at least disappears. Of course, it's going to change your genetics, but then maybe works in epigenetic level to reduce the expression of symptoms. Right? We have experienced that. So I'm sure there's something I left out, but definitely SAC is something that we recommend to everybody with any kind of condition, because it just makes all of your cells healthier.
Or
And
anybody who doesn't want a condition. That's who, if you start doing it, it's called prevention is always the key here, right?
yes, prevention is definitely, SAC is very safe. So the proper doses can be given to our kids as well to help our kids to reach their full potential, right?
Yes.
You'd be amazed to find out that nowadays so many kids are just indoor bound, especially with COVID now, just playing games at home, not getting enough sunlight, not getting enough activity, not really stimulating bones enough, right? And the diet is unhealthy with all that fast food and processed food that makes your body acidic and leaches your body of calcium. And we know how a calcium balance is important in our head, in our brain for that focusing and the attention and all that. That's why I guess we were able to see some results with ADHD patients as well, right? So definitely for kids, we have product for that as well. We have some of the products very similar, but then that we have some formulation to really help the dental issues and also for the joint issues, dealing with joint health. So
So everybody, I just want you to know this, that if you want more information, we've already done two videos. One was called The Truth About Calcium, the other one's called The Science About Calcium. And you can actually go to my library, click on the SAC calcium guide, and you can watch those. Or again, like I said, send an email to quickstart@docofdetox.com. Now, if we could, I hope you don't mind, I'd like to go through one at a time. Can we first talk about, you were just talking about children, right? So do you mind talking about this product here? It's called Ozo Junior.
Yes, also Junior is recommended for the kids under 13, and it's formulated uh, for kids who are growing up, and of course they're going through a lot of cell division. Think about it. Uh, when cells undergoes division, sometimes we wonder, looking through microscope, how does a cells really know uh, what to do? All those intricate steps it's taking to align their chromosomes and go through the divide, all the process. If we're actually listening to what's happening, you're going to hear calcium signaling, right? Uh, AM and FM signals are talking to really orchestrate every step of the way. If you do not have enough calcium ion present when these things are taking place, then the cell division is going to make some errors, right? And it's not going to be done properly. So that's why it's so important for the pregnant mothers, and then also nursing mothers, in even our children need to have healthy calcium homeostasis in our body. There's an old saying, one child, one tooth. That means the pregnant mother loses so much calcium during her pregnancy, right? So these are the times, early childhood and infancy, these are times that we definitely want to have mothers and also infants and children to have a proper the calcium intake and health available for that. Also, Junior definitely helps. And we have seen amazing results. Some of the babies we have seen, we call them um, SAC babies, because the mother was really giving us amazing experience of the entire process of pregnancy, how even when baby's born, uh, you can see the difference in their eyes, how alert they are, and also um, the teething starts so early and all that. So we do have many mothers who are happy and they could really see the difference. Therefore, SAC babies.
Excellent. And talking about one tooth for every child, do you want to talk about Dentagen and dental and mouth?
Yes, we do see how, as we get older, it's called dentulism, where our jawbones get smaller and smaller, right? Get wrinkles all around because alveolar bone, all that jawbone, it's shriveling. And that's the cause of why our gum line recede as well. Okay? With SAC, we're able to not just build entire skeleton, but then also stimulate the growth of your jaw bones as well. So we had many incidences where some patients were due for implants, but couldn't do it without the bone graft. And you know how bone graft is. It helps to definitely fill the cavity, the cavitation, um, but then it is not like natural bone. And only in that area. It can also be kind of a little brittle compared to your natural bone. If you're going for the natural bone, if you're older, it's kind of harder to do it. But with SAC, we had many instances where the cavitation actually fills up after extraction. That's because not just entire bone building process, but then we do have a very strong stem cell. It's called human periodontal ligament stem cells, right? In the ligaments, right? It's very active. But then the science has already proven, you can actually look up these researches out there, how these stem cells are triggered when there is optimal ratio of calcium, iron, and phosphorus 2 to 1. But then, as we age, that ratio is broken. And no wonder the stem cells are kind of dormant. Okay? When the calcium homeostasis is restored, it's able to really restore that ratio to ideal 2 to 1, therefore able to trigger the stem cells to multiply and go do repairing work. We've seen really stronger building of the jawbone and also filling up of this cavitation, some of the x-rays that we can share later on. But then it really shows, we have a doctor who really sweared against it, that there's no way they can have implant. But then after several months of taking Marazen and Dentigen, the patient returned, and then the doctor was really wide-eyed and surprised. So cases like that is something, it's hard to believe. When we presented this actually before and showed all these x-ray pictures to all of the dentists when we are part of the Asia Pacific Dental Congress, where about 15,000 dentists gather. So we spoke to the thousands of doctors there who were present for the meeting. And we asked them, is this really possible naturally? And all of them were just shaking their heads. How could this be done, right? So the amount of ripple that we're making in, I guess, the dental industry, and it's definitely we're looking forward to more and more dentists actually adopt and use SHG therapy for their patients.
Brilliant. So I just want to say something too. So we do every couple of months, and everybody can check that out. But every couple of months, we do what's called the 6-day advanced water fasting challenge. Now, everybody thinks that when you do a water fast, it's going to be grueling, it's going to be tough, and you can only do water. Well, let me tell you something. SAC, okay, the SAC ionic calcium is one of the products we can do because it never turns on the digestive tract. And it actually helps the stem cells. It also helps the returning of the displaced calcium. It increases everything on a water fast. So I won't go into that now, but if you click on the 6-day advanced water fasting challenge guide in my library, read up on it, and then unleash the power of fasting and the SAC calcium together, because that's what you call a most powerful duo. Okay, so the next product I'd like you to talk about is Cardigan, and this one comes up a lot with us because we deal with people that are told that they need to have surgery, or that they need to have a hip replacement, knee replacement, or they need to have something done. And, people can believe this or not, but we've given up on the body, and we never should have. When you're using products like the SAC, and when you start creating the perfect day in a nutritional way, and we go in with what we call Wolfe non-surgical, and we actually lovingly open up the scar tissue and release that displaced calcium, you know what? It's the SAC that pulls the calcium back into the bones. And then we see magic where people thought they would have to have something replaced, or they would need to keep the cane or the walker. The proof is in the pudding. I have enough testimonials on my website to prove all this. But Jay, do you mind talking about the Cardigan?
Sure. Some doctors actually call osteoporosis, the arthritis, the osteoporosis of joints, because of course there's some bone loss happening there as well as the rest of your body. And there's also calcification happening around joints that also acts as abrasive matters within the joints and the synovial fluid that acts like a sandpaper that grinds your cartilage. The thing is that we do have very strong stem cell in joints, chondrocytes. But then, same reason, these stem cells are not really active. But calcium ions can go anywhere in your body, even though there are no blood vessels running through these joints. SAC calcium can deliver ionic calcium that could go in through these joints and actually stimulate these chondrocytes to regenerate cartilage. In fact, there's some study that I like to read. It says, acting as an intracellular messenger, calcium ion has a key role in cell signaling pathways in various differentiation stages of stem cells. Calcium ion mediated signaling is essential for the maintenance of stem cells and for promoting their development and differentiation, also focusing on their therapeutic potential. The studies are out there. You can find these researches, tons of them, seeing how calcium ion signaling is so crucial for starting these stem cells to go and do the repairing work, right? We have actually had some stem cell doctors who tried SAC with their stem cell therapy and seen the results really multiplying, and they were surprised because it's not just putting stem cells, but then if the whole environment is against the working of stem cell, what good is it? But SAC calcium can really restore the whole environment for our stem cells to get the signal and go work, right? So if that happens, you may not even need adding more stem cells from outside, but your own stem cell, right? The mesenchymal stem cells all throughout your body can be stimulated and go do the repairing work. So we definitely have seen a lot of improvements as long as you have some cartilage left, right? It's not bone on bone. Then you can see the cartilage function so much improving, as well as even rheumatoid arthritis, where that autoimmune response is also curtailed because of SAC's function against autoimmune disease. It's going to remove all that bone spurs and calcification from joints, right? It also helps reduce the inflammation, and with the lessened inflammation, also pain subsides. So we have seen many patients do improve of their arthritic condition.
Thank you. And if I can say something, and it's only because I've been in the business doing this for 35 years, the Wolfe non-surgical, Jay, and you may not realize this, but here's one for you. Guess what? The cartilage is still there. It's dehydrated and it was calcified. And once you actually go in there and start working on that joint, okay, taking the SAC calcium, doing the Wolfe non-surgical, using things like DMSO essential oils, doing clapping, why does the cartilage then show up when they go back for X-ray 6 weeks to 3 months later? Why does that happen? First of all, it wasn't there, but now it is there. And what we found out over the years is it was still there. It was calcified and it didn't show up anymore.
That's amazing. That's awesome.
Yeah, well, guess what? That's the ticket. Do you know how many people are actually getting surgery and they don't have to go to surgery? And understand something, what did we do before surgery? And how many more people are going for surgery? How many more people are getting implants? How many more people have given up on the human body? All right. So when you look at an X-ray and you say that the cartilage is gone, I'll tell you something right now. And we have thousands of people that are doing our therapy because we have a school, we teach it to practitioners. And Jay, why is it that people aren't going for surgery even when the X-rays tell them that they needed to? After doing the SAC calcium, the perfect day, and the Wolfe non-surgical. And you know, it's one thing for me to say it here, but I'm going to put myself on the line. You know that we actually give a money back guarantee that we're going to prove that in the first treatment. How is it when somebody walks in, and what we do is before they come to see us, we get them on the perfect day, get them on the SAC calcium, so they're on that for a few weeks. So then they come in to see us, and then we go in with Wolfe non-surgical. And why is it that most of them can give up their canes? They needed help to walk down the stairs. But after one treatment of doing these different things that we do, why is that? So the one thing is I'm either just making all this up and going to set myself up for trouble, or it's actually real, okay? So let's move on. So alzagen, so the SAC ion has no problem crossing the blood-brain barrier. And this alzagen is for what?
Alzagen, we recommend for people with dementia and Alzheimer's disease.
Okay. And so that means that the SAC calcium has no problem going across the blood-brain barrier, correct?
Definitely. I mean, every cell needs calcium ion, and the proper level of calcium ion has to be maintained all throughout our body. Ionic calcium needs to go everywhere, right? Because it plays that role of regulating cellular signaling. If calcium ion level is off, everything is off. Everything breaks down. And this is something that we're faced with, and especially in our brain, right? You're going to be finding multiple studies. If you Google calcium ion and Alzheimer's disease, you're going to find tons of studies. And you will see that many of these studies, all of these studies kind of right now coming together, right, as stating that the calcium ion signaling and the disruption of it is probably the major cause. They say it's a major cause of the onset of Alzheimer's disease. So this is not my words, right? We have so many researchers backing it, but we have something in our hands that now that could regulate and restore calcium homeostasis and signaling. And that's why we're seeing some great effects that otherwise we couldn't see before.
Absolutely. Thank you. So let's talk about Merigen. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Well, Merigen is definitely our strongest product. It delivers about 7.6 milligram of calcium ion per dose. And of course, for people who are undergoing the cancer therapy, we ask them to add SAC therapy on top of it, about 4 doses a day. And you know how SAC calcium has to be added to water in order to be absorbed. The way that SAC calcium works, if you do not mix it with water, it's not going to be absorbed in ionic form. It's going to be a very expensive calcium carbonate supplement, right? In a very small dose. It works together with water, right? It has really a unique physical property how if you leave our bottles open, then it's going to just fly out together with water. There's no calcium has that kind of physical property. SAC calcium has +2 charge that works together with the hydrogen bonding. And when water evaporates, it just goes out together with it, right? So it's really very one of a kind calcium. But then we were able to purify to over 99%, and that's what Maragen is. But then the effect of that in our body is so much more than our maintenance product, Megagen, right? So in order to reverse the disease momentum, we ask all the doctors to go strong in the beginning. Go with Maragen, multiple doses, because it is better to go strong and stop the disease momentum and turn it around at the get-go, right? So Maragen is definitely probably the first product that our doctors recommend for any patients they are looking for the help. And from then on, if the conditions improve, then we go to the next phase, reducing the dosage continuously until you can get on the maintenance dosage. But Maragen is the product that we start most patients with.
Thank you. And everybody, when Jay was talking about how if you were to put the Merigen in the water, which is usually if you're an adult, 15 ounces of water, and you were let it sit, that eventually it would leave. It'd fly out of the glass. So we do want to drink it right away, okay? And understand something. It's this craziness that it'll fly out of the glass that actually makes it the miracle product that it is. If it didn't do that, it wouldn't be able to fly where it needs to go to do what it needs to do. And it's really easy to take. You can take it every 4 hours, okay? So that's why with the multiple doses, it's really good. And because it doesn't need any help to be digested by the human body, it's not going to get in the way or get wasted. It's all going to be utilized. Doesn't matter what age you are or what condition you have, it's going to go there and do its job, okay? So it doesn't need your support. It's got everything it needs to carry through with the mission. Okay, so you can do it every 4 hours, and there's not many rules to it, except you don't want to be eating or doing anything a half hour prior. And then a half hour after you take it, you can drink water, but don't do anything else. There's the guidelines, and you could do it every 4 hours. And then, of course, the more you do it, the more it accumulates and more it does what it needs. It's not like it's not like supplements where you do a supplement and that's all it would do. Like any more is not better. It's just overload. Whereas with the SAC calcium, you can do it every 4 hours. So that's why if you have a situation that is more serious, you can call in you can call in the reserves. You can call in the support that you need and move forward. Jay, Megagen, okay? And this is the final one.
Megagen is our maintenance product. This is the product that we do recommend if you are over 40 and you know that your bone density is going to go down from then on because all the hormonal changes in our life, especially for postmenopausal women. If you actually compare the bone density over age, you will see that females will have the bigger dip after age 40. That's because of all the hormonal changes in the body. So we definitely recommend all the ladies out there over past 40 to take Megagen to really fight against that natural the bone loss that happens in our body. Megagen, we do believe, is definitely in an affordable range, and only Megagen can do what it does. And Megagen can also be given to patients who has fully recovered and beyond. They want to be on the maintenance dosage. If you're more older and recover from the serious diseases and a higher chance of recurrence, then we definitely ask that you stay on Maragen as maintenance dosage. But then for healthier people with some minor symptoms reversed, then definitely you could stay on Megagen.
Thank you, Jay. And here comes the last question, and that's this. Can you tell people about any clinical trials that you've actually done with the SAC calcium?
Well, yes. I think the first one is definitely the bone study we have done with Calcium and Bone Health Institute for past 10 years. We had so many patients who have taken SAC and measured before and after with FDA-approved bone densitometer. And then we do have actually the graph of that and all the data available. Significant portion, we say over 95% of them did experience the bone density increase. And of course, they were not, many of them are taking it for some other conditions than osteoporosis and osteopenia, but they also experienced the bone increase as well. And we have done the animal study in 2011, and that's also published, and that also we have experienced a significant increase of the bone density.
Thank you, Jay. Go ahead.
Actually, in that bone density 2011 animal study, there's something I like to add, is that we induced osteoporosis by removing ovaries. So these ovary ectomized rats start to lose bone rapidly. But when we added SAC, that the bone density actually went back to normal. And also, we have seen the production of osteocalcin increased as well. And also, estradiol levels start to increase. And what's important is that when we actually absorbed CTX, which is actually the marker for bone breaking, that bone breaking marker was actually reduced compared even to the control group, the healthy, the animals. So we definitely know that adding SAC helps improve the bone health. Currently, that we have this ongoing trial, next level, with a postmenopausal woman. This is actually done in collaboration with the university in South Korea. Then we're going to have this study published. So that's going to be definitely looking, that's definitely something that we're looking forward to because we know that it's going to make a huge ripples in the scientific community. And then we are also partnering with one of the major university and the Cancer Center in the United States for the multiple myeloma study. And that's going to be also published in 2 years.
Thank you, Jay. So everybody, don't forget, okay, tomorrow, all right, tomorrow, we will be doing on Doc of Detox, we'll be doing a live Q&A to answer all your questions. So type them underneath here on Facebook or Intercom, or you can do it also on YouTube. Or tomorrow you can come on live on Facebook or YouTube, and you can type your questions in, and we'll answer them live for you. Jay, is there anything that you would like to share with everyone before we wrap up today?
But definitely like to thank you, Dr. Wolfe, for the opportunity to present SAC therapy to your wide audience. And it is our hope, and we're making our best effort to really make this available for all the patients out there who are suffering. We have seen many who are hopeless finding new hope through SAC therapy, and many who are maintaining good health through SAC therapy. I myself have been taking this for so many years and reaped benefits of that as well. And one day I hope I can share my own testimony as well. But I also like to give thanks to Dr. Paul Lee of CBHI. He's the inventor of SAC, and definitely he has given to mankind amazing substance that could help so many people.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you for joining me today. And everyone, thank you for joining us today. But don't forget, we're going to be here tomorrow, so get your questions. Please let your family and friends know. I mean, how important is this topic? Ask yourself, and then think about those who you think that this may help along the way. And don't forget also that we're going to be doing a series of shows talking about different types of conditions and how the calcium ion, okay, affects different types of conditions. And understand something, like Jay said, okay, this is not a silver bullet thing, okay? This is to work in conjunction with you learning how to create the perfect day for yourself on a nutritional and emotional level, and just help to pull it all together. But as we know, calcium is the main mineral in the human body for a reason. So again, I want to thank my guest, Jay Lee, for coming on today. Thank you, Jay. And
Thank you, Dr. Wolfe.
Thank you, sir. Everybody, just so you know, everything's loosening up from COVID, so our personal treatment and trainings at our clinic are now open. You can come and get them. You can come with your family, come with a caretaker, come with the one you love, or you can come by yourself, okay? Just know, go to our personal treatment and training guide in our library, take a look and see if it's something you would like to do. And know this, we have master trainers that travel all over the world that will come and teach you and your family how to create the perfect day, and even how to work on each other, doing the Wolfe non-surgical and all the strategies and protocols that create that perfect day for the perfect life. So check it out. And for those of you who want to move forward and get a consultation, click on consultations on my website and understand something. You need a coach. We all need a coach. And my upcoming courses are, I'll be in Orlando at Omni 5-Star Resort from September 12th to the 18th doing my whole life coach course, which is 8 days. There'll be a day off. And then September the 20th to October the 2nd, I'll be doing the Wolfe non-surgical. You can go to itioh.com for more information. And then we'll be doing the same thing in Kelowna, okay, in October. All right. And then guess what? I'll be doing the same thing at the Omni Resort in Palm Springs, California, November the 28th. Really hope to see you there. And anybody who lives in the area, make sure you call in. We're saving everybody's names and numbers, and you can come on. We're going to be there for 3 weeks, even a little bit more in 3 weeks. Do you know what we could do for you in 3 weeks? We'll actually treat you. So if you want to come and stay at the Omni Resort, you can get a super discount on the hotel, and you can come there for treatments, and I will prove to you that, guess what? We'll guarantee on the first treatment that we will do more in that treatment than anybody has ever done for you before in any other treatment. How's that for a money back? All right, so put your money where your mouth is, Dr. Wolfe. All right, we'll also be doing a training in Extapa, and I want to thank in February, and I want to thank everybody for joining me, okay? And just know that the power to heal, okay, is yours, but you must learn how to take your power back. Thank you for joining me. God bless, and don't forget, every Monday I do a live Q&A where I will answer all your health questions. God bless. If you're looking for life-saving and life-changing information, well, you've come to the right place. Don't forget to click and subscribe. Stay connected.